Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with mysticgenmara.com, and today I was going to bring up a book review for you. Originally I was going to do these individually, but we've already went over the angels as far as some introduction work for them, and I figured I would just do these all four together. There is an author by the name of Richard Webster, and he did an amazing set of 4 books, one for each of the 4 primary angels used in most ritual and metaphysical circles. That being said, there's a lot of angels that you can choose to work with, and I'm not saying that this is the be-all, end-all, but these are the 4 that generally are what start a lot of us into working with the angelic realm. This gentleman has written these books from his own experience, from working with the angels, as well as being in different groups that have worked with angels. He's actually from New Zealand originally, which I did not realize that until after I was 4 books in, and I've read a lot of his work. So, and all 4 of these books are linked in the description. He also just had a new one come out this year in 2022. It's linked in the description as well, and I will admit right up front, I have not read this book. It's one of those ones that I just need to sit down and read because I do really enjoy the way he writes. It's very straightforward, very educational. It's almost analytical. But he writes for Llewellyn.com, which is an amazing publishing site for metaphysical work. And Carl Llewellyn, the one who developed the publishing company, ended up getting contracts with a bunch of other companies, so there's a lot of really cool tarot decks and things like that you can get there. These 4 are linked through Amazon because of I can get an associate link with it, which helps me out if you guys click through those, which is awesome. The other part is they're all in one spot, which they think they are on Llewellyn, but unless you hit one of their sales, it's a little bit... I'm trying to help you guys out with prices. And sometimes Llewellyn sells, if they're not on sale, you have to pay full retail plus shipping. And with these particular books, Amazon has them just a little bit cheaper right now. So that's why I went that direction. But he has them with like my Archangel Michael, which is guidance and protection. And the original artwork is amazing. I noticed 2 of the books had updated artwork. So just be aware that you may have different covers. He has this one for Gabriel, Inspiration and Reconciliation, the emotional water aspect of Gabriel. Then we have Uriel, which is Transformation and Tranquility, and it's very earthy, inspired cover. Get my ring light off there. And then the last one is Raphael, which is Healing and Creativity, but also Raphael, being the air angel, is the angel of communication. Logical communication, not emotional. But when you go through these, they're very fun for the fact that the first part of the book is specifically about the angel, him or herself, and then it goes into different types of meditation, different rituals you can do if you enjoy metaphysical or using the term magical rituals. You can go through that. Like with Raphael, they go through an entire section on healing. There's one of the books, I'm trying to see if it's in this one, Raphael. So if you're interested in chakras and crystals, there we go. This is the book, because each book has got a little different tidbit of information about different metaphysic practices. Like Raphael is good with the chakras and crystals. Uriel is not one that you normally would think about, but Uriel also works with the chakras a lot. But it also shows you how to work with the element of earth, and the ways to work with the different elements is within this book. He also talks a lot about... I think this is the one that has... Let me find my notes. I took notes. Nope. But this one just goes through a lot of the how to work with different elements, because Uriel is the angel that kind of protects the elemental earth, while elemental earth is the foundation for air, fire, and water. So that's kind of why he goes through it in that one. Gabriel being with the emotions and water element, also works with a little bit of the chakras, goes into much more in depth with the crystals, but also goes through different ways you can use incenses and perfumes and oils and things like that that trigger your latent sensual abilities. Sensual as in using your senses, not the other one. I mean, you can use them for that too, I guess, but it's for using your senses. And then there's working with Michael, where you start tapping into lucid dreaming and working with the karmic practices. Being the angel of fire, you also have some candle, using his language, candle magic. Candle is intention settings, or however you want to do that with the book on Michael. Each one, though, is fairly thick. They're about 180 pages, 165 to 180 pages. But it goes through, and it really gives you some history, some of the lore about how they came to being so well known. Like Uriel is primarily, like if you go to a standard Christian church and you say Faniel or Uriel, they're going to look at you like, who? They don't have a clue. Because he is actually tied to the ancient Kabbalistic practices going back before Babylon, but also tied to more of the some of the Jewish traditions, not all of them. So don't don't go out there and start asking everybody's, hey, I heard this, because that's not where it is. It's the more mystic practices within the Jewish culture. But he goes through and introduces and works with, like, how did Michael in the Bible, through history, some other cultures, with Raphael, what was his original purpose, some of the lore, mystery, but he kind of helps you get to know them on a much more personal way. I'm trying to think of the right words. And he gives ways to help bring that energy into your life and show you how to work with a little bit better. There's another book that I will do a review on later that kind of goes through some of the more on the angels' personalities, which can get really entertaining, especially when you start meditating with them and working with them. You'll find out that you're not the only one that feels that way about some of these angels. But with this book, it's more about getting to know their energy, understanding some of the history behind them. My belief with anything, be it religious, spiritual, metaphysical, all of it, is I want to know, this is me, I want to know where it comes from so that I know what I'm working with, so I can send it into the future in the correct pattern. So having books like Richard Webster writes allows you to get a little bit more of a background on the angels. So these four, like I said, he wrote them specifically because the majority of the metaphysical world, Wicca, ceremonial, etc., work with these four as a primary source of angelic energy. From here, you can springboard into finding out all about, the rest of them, Samael, Camael, Haniel, Jophiel. Like, there's a lot of angels out there you can work with. But this is a way to start kind of really bringing them down into a more realistic stance for you. There's books out there, and I'm not knocking these books in the slightest. But what they do is they talk about angels as this bubbly cloud of energy that just sits there, or it floats around. And that's okay if that works for you. For me, I like having something that puts a face with a name. I don't do well with just a thought concept. I need something that resonates for me. And so that's the reason I really enjoy Richard's work, is he makes the angels personable. He brings their history to you, so it's like when you start to work with them, you're sensing them. You're kind of seeing them third eye-ish. You might be able to see them physically, and that's awesome. But it helps bring that energy into a more grounded state, and so in my mind, it's easier to understand. But I highly recommend these, especially if you're wanting to delve your studies deeper into the angelic realm. I just think that the benefit you're going to get from them is better than just kind of winging it, because he's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of study, and he could help you. I'm not saying he's going to, because no one can do all of it, but he could help you skip some hiccups that may occur, like when you try to get a fire angel to work with water. It's a little difficult sometimes because their energies are completely different, and he explains the different energies between the angels and how you don't want to call it. I mean, you can call upon Gabriel for healing, but Gabriel's going to work with healing on an emotional level, not so much on a physical. That's what Raphael is for. He's the divine physician. And you don't want to build a prosperous and happy, peaceful home. You're not calling on Michael. He's going to be out there trying to protect it and go to war with somebody. That's what Uriel does. And so it's just a way to help bring those into a more clear state. Like I said, if that's something that resonates. But they're really good books. I highly recommend them, and I recommend them to anybody who wants to start studying about angels. Like I said, there's a set of 4 of them. They're individually marked in the link below, or in the comment or the description box below. And it's just a way to help introduce you. And if there's one that really calls to you, go with that one first. Just pick the angel that resonates the most loudly for you. You may end up with all 4. Like I started out with Archangel Gabriel because from my very first days in practice, Gabriel was one of the first angels that came forward and started really working with me. But when I was younger, and I still have struggles in this department, I think we all have our struggles. But when I was younger, I really was emotionally struggling, and I dealt with a lot of really big problems. And Gabriel was a way for me to kind of soothe through that, work through that. And it's unlocked a lot of that heavier, denser energy and allow me to clean it up. And as things are shifting and changing in the world, well, even with my own personal job right now, my day job, I should say, I can tell that shift is occurring again, and there's some emotional upheaval that goes with leaving a job that you've been doing for 17 years or shifting into a different aspect of the job, because for the last 17 years I've had the same job doing the same thing, but something's changing and I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but it's causing some of that shakeup. So for me at the moment, I've really started working with Archangel Gabriel again to kind of work through some of these emotions to resisting change, because I don't like change, but it's things like that. But I've been going back through his book trying to reconnect. I mean, the connection's already there, but it's helping my conscious mind resettle into like, let's go through this, let's figure this out, let's clean this up, and let's go. So like I said, it's a good resource for if you're really starting to get into it, you really want to get more personal and not just use the concept of this angelic floating energy that's a bubble up there and it's not very personal. For me, this is good because it helps me bring them down into something I can understand a little bit better. So hopefully that resonates for you guys if that's something you're interested in. Now it's time for that YouTube-y grift part where it's like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you enjoy the content and want to see more of it. And if you have any thoughts or ideas about anything that I've discussed here or in other videos, just leave a comment. All I ask is, even in criticism, let's be respectful. And with that, I will let you guys have an awesome week, and I will talk to you in a future video.